Hey guys, what's up? Hitmarthrow here, and welcome back to some more of Let's Play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. In the last episode, we cleared up boss battles with Meta Knight, so we are now moving on to Falco, which is kind of an interesting transition now that we've had back-to-back lightweights. Now we have a middleweight who's pretty much a heavyweight with how slow he is, really. But regardless, with Falco, this should not be too bad, at least, especially not compared to what we're going to have in a little while. Like in the upcoming ones, I'm dreading. Because there's some characters, like, there's very few characters I have not beaten boss battles on Intense with ever, and one of them is coming up very shortly. And there we go. But either way, we've already seen how Fox works, so I'm going to probably be comparing Fox to Falco quite a bit in most regards, because that's just the easiest way to compare it. When it comes to Falco comparing to Fox in the speed and agility and all that, he pretty much is about the same transition as Luigi was to Mario. Falco can jump a lot higher than he can. At the same time, he is slower, and he's also, I wouldn't say heavier, but he's slower, and, well, yeah, that's his normal running speed right there. Come on. Slower and a lot less balanced than Mario is, or in this case, Fox is. But I would say overall, it's not as bad with Luigi, or as bad with Falco as it is with Luigi. For the most part, he still has, he's still very agile. Some of the attacks that were multi-hit with, oh darn it, of course I got hit by that. Some of the attacks that Fox had, like this down right here, that were multi-hit are not with Falco. This attack actually only does one hit. So you kind of have to mess around with the attacks to figure out what is multi-hit and what's just one big hit. And then once you do, it's not that big a deal. Really, there's only a few things in particular. The neutral aerial and the front aerial are the only two aerial ones that have a problem. The up, down, and back aerials are all fine. Whenever it comes to the B moves of Fox versus Falco, there's not very many differences. The side B is exactly the same. The up B is pretty much the same. I mean, I think the up B on Falco's might be have a little bit less height to it, but that's about it. The differences lie in their standard B and their down B, so their guns and their reflector. As you can see right there, whenever it comes to the reflector, though Fox would initially kind of have it where he would just basically hold it the entire time, Falco actually kicks it out like it's a projectile. It still does reflect things. However, if a projectile comes from behind, it's not going to be able to work in that instance. So while Fox's reflector would work on the projectile all the time, and you could just hold it down, Falco's you'd have to keep firing. However, it does work as a projectile, and even if there is nothing to reflect, you can still damage enemies with it like so. If I'd actually get a hit in. Come on. Yeah, like that. The other difference is with their blasters. With Fox's blaster, and this first part really doesn't matter since we're playing in boss battle, Fox's blaster would not induce flinching, Falco's will. However, in boss battle, bosses don't flinch, except for like very few exceptions with Meta Ridley. So since bosses don't flinch, that's not really the big deal. What is the big deal, however, yes, that actually still does work. I didn't remember if it did in Brawl or not. You can still reflect those. However, the difference is with his, while Fox's fires very quickly, Falco's fires much slower. However, it does do more damage. If you jump up in the air and then fire it, it will generally go a lot faster though. And it may be my imagination, but I think it does go a little bit faster whenever you jump in the air to use it. There we go, that almost killed him. Got him. Thankfully, once again, the reflectors is incredibly helpful in most of the boss fights with Ridley, Meta Ridley, with Master and Crazy Ant's projectiles, with Duons. You know, it works fairly well on most of the bosses. which I went over last video saying that in all honesty when it comes to which characters are easiest to beat boss battles with, It's anybody with a counter or reflector, PSI shield. If you want to be fancy with the names, double team for Lucario, Toad for Peach, anything they can counter is probably your best bet starting out. In particular, though, I would say honestly, and it's not just because I like using Marth, I would say Marth is probably the easiest character to beat boss battles on Intense with, solely because of the counter. So if you're new to playing and you're not good at dodging the attacks, that's who I would use. Ike's counter is not quite the same, because Ike does have a counter as well. However, his doesn't work quite the same as Marth's does, and we'll get to that whenever we get to Ike's boss battle. But there's a fairly decent difference between the two, so I would say, yeah, Marth would probably be one of the easier ones to use. Marth was the first person I beat it with, but directly behind us, that was Fox, and of course, Fox has the reflector, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are 7. 8 is Crazy Hand or Ridley. I gotta play careful then.
Ready, go!
Thought I messed that up there. That's not what I was trying to do. There we go. Beautiful. So if Ridley shows up, probably going to take it. If Crazy Hand shows up, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And of course Crazy Hand shows up. So 3, 6, that was 7. Ridley is definitely the last one besides Taboo. So I'm going to use it now. Yes, I know there's plenty of people that can do this game, like, can beat it with all characters, not take damage at all, under 4 minutes. I already did my no damage run for boss battles on Intense. Once was enough, thanks. And I'd like to think I did a decent job with Marth's run. At least for thus far. I'm sure somebody, like, troll-wise, will probably go back to the video and, like, put a comment about it now, but thus far, everybody has been very positive on the fact that I did not take damage on the run. Pretty much the only negative comments I've got while playing boss battles was stuff like, you do really well on boss battles, but I'm sure I could beat you in a regular match. And I've already said, boss battles and regular matches are not the same thing. In fact, stating that one of the big differences between this and boss battles is bosses don't flinch whenever you kick them in the face. Unless it's Meta Ridley, like, clinging onto the ship. You don't employ the same strategy for boss battles that you do for, you know, standard battles. And even against the AI, because, like, the bosses have patterns to them. They clearly don't have near as many moves that they can do, or at least most of them don't. I don't know about Taboo, but most of them can't do near as many things. They can't use items. You know, there's a big difference between the two. And I'm pretty sure my competitive Brawl, like, if I went into a tournament right now against, like, a couple of my friends, I would probably place in maybe semi-finals or finals, but I probably wouldn't win. It really kind of depends on how big the bracket was and who would be in it, but still. If it was the 32-man bracket, I could at least make quarters probably without too much difficulty. Alright, there we go. And on to Taboo.
Ready, go!
Nope. Yeah, I could have gone for him, but I was busy scratching my nose right there. Still messed that up. And neither one of those shots hit him at all well. Before you ask, no, you cannot reflect that. I'm still not entirely sure about the, like, Taboo's wing shards whenever he fires those and then the giant ball after it. I'm not entirely sure if he can counter those or not. Probably after this recording, actually, I'm going to go in with Fox on, like, a really easy difficulty and get up to Taboo, and I want to actually find out if you can or not. Got him. Well, I kind of messed up in the first half, but I finally got the rhythm for Falco in those last couple fights where I didn't take any damage, so it worked out alright. I ended up not using that last heart container, so, I mean, not too bad. At least not for the second half. Like I said, the first half kind of was a little bit sketchy at best. But anyway, next time, we've got some pretty difficult fights coming up, actually. Pokemon Trainer, Ike, and Snake. In particular, Ike and Snake. Pokemon Trainer's got a pretty broken strategy. I'm sure most people know what it is. Ike's counter is weird, and I'm not good with slow characters. I'm surprised it as well as I did with DK, but Ike and Snake, in particular Snake, is going to be a big problem, because I've never actually beaten it with Snake on intense mode. I've beaten it with up through, I believe, Rob before. I don't think I've beaten it with Rob, Olimar, Jigglypuff, or Snake. Those are the only 4, I think. There might be a few other people here and there, but I think I've beaten it with Bowser and Wario. I know I've beaten it with Ganon. I know I've beaten it with DDD. So I think it might just be those 4, but yeah, Snake will be coming up in a little bit. So I'll see you guys next time for the Pokemon Trainers boss battles on intense mode. Take care, guys.